Okay, today we are joined by Dr. Jess. I'm going to nickname you, and you're going to give me the rest of your name,
Yeah.
Jess, so I don't butcher it. But thanks for joining me because I know you are my first US based guest, and it's
Yay.
6 a.m. over there. So,
6 a.m.
yeah,
Good
just
morning.
thank you very much.
Good morning. I was just saying, well, first, thanks for being so flexible. And I'm so excited to be here because I'm such a big fan. I just saw your video. You're freaking hilarious. I get so excited every time I see one of your videos because it's point on, just accurate. And that's what makes it so comical. I feel it's just great. But yeah, my name's Jess. I'm a physiotherapist here in the United States. I live out of Los Angeles. I'm also a runner, distance runner. I'm a running coach, and I run a running club out here in LA. And yeah, I've been running for almost 22 years, pretty much my whole life. And running is kind of a big part of my life. So, hence why I came, into contact with Mr. Gary here, who's, another passionate runner and comedian. So, yeah, thanks for inviting
It's
me. I
weird,
really
right?
appreciate it. It's so cool. I think it's cool that you can kind of blend the things that you love and make it a thing, and people totally
Mm,
gravitate towards it if it's genuine. And so, yeah, but I appreciate it. I'm so happy to be on here and get to chat with you. This is going to be fun.
yeah, I know. Yeah, because this was scheduled a few days before. But if yeah, Jess sounds great at the moment, and I always hear her full of energy. But you weren't too well the other day, were you?
No, I just ran a Boston Marathon and I never had COVID. Escaped 3 years of it, and I finally got COVID, and it hit me pretty bad. I guess I ended up running with COVID. I had no idea. And so after I was done running, it it tore me down pretty bad. But I'm
Yeah,
happy that I am okay and I'm get here talking. So, yeah.
great. So we're gonna get into a bit more your journey about running and everything, but I'm gonna start at the end actually, if that's all right. And just I want to know more about the Boston Marathon because over here in the UK, it's growing in kind of people want to
Mhm.
do it, people want to qualify for it. I coached a lady that's over there for Boston, and that really ignited my interest even more. I've grown up through running, watching some of the battles, and obviously watching the tragedy and watching the weather and all that kind of thing. So, just give us an outline of what makes Boston so special, especially for you being out in the US.
Yeah, Boston is definitely probably the biggest marathon for your everyday runner. I think it's pretty much considered the pinnacle of racing for a non-elite runner. And then obviously an elite runner, it's a popular marathon. It's the oldest marathon of the United States.
Mm.
And it's one of the only marathons that you have to qualify to get into. So, what we call it, it's like the Olympics for us. So if you could get in, I mean, you have major bragging rights and you're considered a pretty serious runner. So I think for this serious runner, Boston
Mm.
is our Olympic. So, it's a huge deal. And of course, this historical context, of it, also adds the, the allure, and of course, respectability, iconic, aspect to the whole thing. So, yeah, it's huge. It's huge for us. It's always been. And yeah, I've been lucky to run it twice now. And now you kind of, once you start, you kind of don't want to stop because when you don't qualify, everyone's like, oh no, you didn't qualify. You're going to have to find a race
Yeah.
to qualify. So yeah, I think, yeah, for the serious long distance runners, making it to Boston is like, that's the finish line. So yeah, really cool to be able to run it.
Oh, over the years, the qualifying times, as more and more people want to qualify, are they coming down or have they
Yeah,
stayed relatively the same? Are they
no,
coming down?
they're coming down. When I first tried to qualify, it was a 3:35, but this is right before COVID. This is before COVID. You couldn't get in with a qualifying time. You had to bank about 6 minutes faster than the qualifying time. There were so many
Mm.
people that were qualifying; they didn't have enough slots that they ended up dropping the qualifying time by 5 minutes, almost in every category. And so now, for me, the qualifying time is 3:30, and for the men, it's under 3 hours to qualify for Boston. And still, you're trying to run a pretty nice buffer. So most people are really aiming 5 minutes under qualifying time to get in. And we'll see these past few years since COVID, they haven't really used a buffer system for it. So if you qualify, you get in, but we don't know what's going to happen this upcoming year. So we'll see. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess like for London Marathon, I guess the aspect is more on the charity aspect, and everyone, and a lot of the allocations go to that. But we have like championship entry, which is a certain, that would be a guaranteed entry, and then you also have good for age kind of categories. So that sounds a little bit more like your qualification system, but again, it's just a small amount of the entries in total because the amount of charity entries. So London's even like quite complicated to try and get an
Oh yeah.
entry if you're not fast enough, basically.
Yeah, all of us out here are trying to go out to London. So we all talk about
Yeah,
London all the time. Um, yeah, it's one of the world majors, right? So it's a very popular marathon. And so, yeah, I think it's isn't it this weekend, today, tomorrow, the marathon?
it's tomorrow.
Yes,
Tomorrow morning. Yeah.
that's awesome. So, good luck to everybody. We have a handful of people out here who are at London right now. But yeah, London's another. I think all the world majors are really hard to get into. Berlin, Tokyo, Chicago's probably the easiest. Yeah, so
And is Boston, like, I know it as quite a challenging, typical marathon course, I guess.
it's
Especially doing more research again like this year. So it's quite hilly in terms of road marathons, but also the support looks unreal as well. So
yeah.
we've got some fast marathons in the UK or challenging marathons, but the support is really at London
Hmm.
kind of thing. That's where, and even London has quite quiet parts, but Boston just it
Boston,
looks crazy in a good way from start to finish. Is
it
it really like that?
it is an animal. That's what I think. There's a lot of magic there. So Boston is always ran on a Monday on Patriots Day. It's an actual state holiday. So no one in the state works. And they encourage everyone,
Yeah.
all the residents, to go out and support. So you'll see citizens and residents out there. And on the same day, there's actually a baseball game and a basketball game. So a lot of things going out in the city of Boston. But it's bananas. I mean, I've never seen so many people from the second you start to the inch you finish. There's screaming people. And usually I run with music. And excuse me, but the last year I didn't. And there's no need for music. You can't hear anything. There's just like people yelling in your face. It's really cool. You can definitely just count on someone. If you turn to your left or to your right, someone's going to be yelling at you. So it's so cool. Best cheer crowd in,
Yeah.
yeah, in the world, maybe. I don't know, but I would, safe to say.
And you're someone who's got, for me, like on the outside looking in, you've got a lot of energy anyway. And when you run with energy, you share your story with energy. So I guess they're the kind of races that you enjoy
Yeah, I
the
mean it's
most, I
nice
guess.
because no matter how hard you train, it kind of hurts. Marathons are not fun, and
Mm,
so you go through moments of like, oh, beep, am I going to make this? And and then a stranger calling out your name or saying like you got this looking shade in your eye, like you better go, and you're like, okay, I'm going to do it. So no, it's so special, and the crowd is just unreal. I mean, there's nothing like it. So for anyone who's really curious and thinks like, hey, I want to give it a try, Boston is one of my top rated marathons. My favorite marathon to run up to this point, and I hope to be able to run it as many times as possible. So, yeah.
good. Right. So on that note, you've ran many marathons. Take us back now, back to almost like the start, because I know you're a physiotherapist out
Yeah.
there, but like what got you into running, and then also what got you into the physiotherapy
Yeah.
side of things?
This is gonna sound really funny. Well, I ran my first marathon when I was 12. And it kind of came out of a spur of, well, my parents are immigrants. I'm a first generation American, and I didn't really grow up with a lot of resources. And so there was a program given to these low income students, and it's called Students Run LA. And it's sponsored by
Mm.
Saucony. And at the time, it was sponsored by Saucony. And what they did was they provided these low income kids with running shoes, a whole running workout, running attire, and they paid for all your races, and they prepared you and coached you to run the LA Marathon. So I
Wow.
had no idea what I was doing at 12. So my coach was like, just do this, just come. It's like an after school program. So I was actually really good at running at the time, running laps around school. So I ended up joining Students Run LA, and I ran my first marathon in 2002. And I remember not being at the marathon and not knowing that I was going to run a marathon until I was about 13 crying. And some lady was like, honey, what's going on? I'm like, how much longer? She's like, you're only halfway. Keep going. I'm like, what is this? I remember finishing. It was about almost 7 hours. And then I'm like, oh, this is a marathon. This is what my coach has been saying. They've been saying this word, but I had no idea what
Yeah.
that was. Like, I didn't understand.
I wouldn't have a clue how
Yeah,
far 26 miles is at that age.
exactly. So, and I remember they gave us a medal. We wore it to school, and everyone, and they gave us all this attention, and everyone was so proud of us. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do this again. And that's how I started. So I've been running since then. And running really is the reason what led me into physiotherapy. Actually, it's actually the reason that everything that's happened in my life has been through running. I got to run in college because of
Mm.
running. I had an interest in sports medicine in college, and my coach introduced me to the athletic trainer on the team. The athletic trainer introduced me to the physical therapist, and so on and so forth. And I've always liked helping people, or I felt like I need to give back to people the same way that people have given back to me. And one, I like sports, like helping people, so it just fit in with being a physical therapist. And so, yeah, after college, I applied to physiotherapy school, and that's how I became a physical therapist. Mm-hmm.
What kind of what does the training look like for physiotherapy out there? Does it like in terms of years and stuff? Because I know physiotherapists, and over in the UK, it's quite. I'd say it's quite ranging in terms of, yeah, just like ability, specialisms, things like that. But what
Yeah,
does the journey look like over
it's
there?
pretty strenuous here. I'm sure it's a similar over there. So you have to go to college and get your bachelor's in some sort of biology or pre-med. And then you apply to physical therapy school, which is almost the equivalent of med school, getting into med school in that sense. It's really
Mm.
competitive. It's a 3-year program, and you finish with a doctorate. So all physio degrees are doctorate degrees. And then from there, you can choose to go to residency and fellowship for a specialty. And I went to residency and fellowship for sports and orthopedic specialty. And so, yeah, I did pretty much five years of schooling. It could be up to 5 years of schooling, and yeah, or it could just be 3. Really depends. It depends on what you want to do. You can be a well-rounded therapist and just kind of do it all, or you can be a little bit
Mm.
more specialized. And I think in my eyes, I knew I'm like, well, I like what I do and I like helping people, but I also want to have a niche of people I prefer to work with. Right now, I work at a hospital, so I see everyone. But because I'm one
Mm.
of the orthopedic and sports specialists, I tend to see a little bit more athletes or orthopedic cases. So yeah.
And were you running all through that time as well through college?
Yes.
Yeah, and how did you feel? Like, is it like again from over here? Like, I see US college running as mega competitive, um, almost like a numbers game, that
Yeah.
kind of thing, and it's almost not shone in the best light over here. And I've been involved in running for 15, 20 years. Obviously, there is amazing stories as well,
Yeah.
but is it as tough as it kind of sounds?
Yes, and I ran Division 3. So there's different divisions of colleges, and I ran probably the lowest
Mm.
division. And this is probably a reason. Maybe there's I'd say a nice decade I wasn't competitive. I think you have to be a certain type of person to really enjoy the competitiveness of college sports. It's really intense, and it is about
Yeah.
numbers. Colleges are paying you; you're more of an employee. I think that there are supportive coaches, but as much I am competitive, but I don't think that it was. I've always ran because I've loved running, and running for
Mm.
me, the love didn't come from winning. So I don't think I was a great. I was not a great cross country.
You were there to
Yeah,
party.
I was like, let's have fun. This is awesome. Let's connect with our, nature and humans community. And everyone's
Yeah.
like, no, we gotta win. And I'm like, I can't do this. So I was good, top 10 in my team, but it became such a job. So I could see that whole light, but
Mm.
I really, if you talk to the competitors, like the top runners, top athletes in college, U.S. college sports, they're there because they know they're gonna go pro. Their dream is to go pro, and
Mm.
and win the whole thing. So yeah, it's really tough. It's a cutthroat world, especially now. I can't imagine being an athlete now. Thank God that they've
Mm.
passed the NIL laws where you can make money off of these kids, but um yeah, it's really intense. So I'm happy I'm not
I
a
guess you
college
have to
kid.
be almost.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, God, so am I.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, actually, I had a lot of fun in my college, but
Yeah.
yeah, I wasn't running.
Yeah. There you go. See?
The Yeah, I imagine you also have to get a little bit lucky with because I know it's quite driven by the head coaches, and they'll have their own kind of systems and methodology and philosophy.
Yep.
And a lot of the time, because you're still young kids at that age, really, and developing, if you don't fit into that mold, but you might fit into another coach's mold, I imagine it's tough again, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad you made that comment. I still talk to one of my college assistant coach, and I remember we had a conversation, and he said, you work harder now as an adult than I ever saw you work in college. And I was like, yeah, because I actually really
Mm.
I know what I'm doing it for now. In college, I was just like, I was 16, 17, someone's telling me what to do. I'm like, I have
Mm.
school. And my coach had, like, if you didn't fit in with the fast girls, it was like you didn't, you weren't going to get catered to. And so I felt so, I mean, you're kids, you kind of want to feel like you're making someone proud, especially your coach. So, yeah, that it was
Yeah.
hard. It was hard for me. But it was a great experience. I mean, I'm never going to say I regret it. I think it was great.
No.
It's really hard. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just always thinking of like I've got young kids now, and like I'm always thinking like just longevity in the sport.
Exactly.
Like I always like I've only known from your social media, but like I said at the start, you just look like you're having fun every single time. And I know obviously it's not like that, but the amount of energy that you bring to
No.
your running, but you're also like you've been through all the serious stuff as well. It's just like I hope that yeah, in the future, like more kids can just have more
Yeah.
longevity.
No, and I think if from my Division 3 team, no one from that team, even the top girls, are running today.
Mm,
None of them. I'm the only one that's
yeah.
continued on, and so not even the class above or below me. Out of that whole program, no one runs except me, and I think that says a lot. I was like the only one that was like, "Look, I'm gonna show up and I'm gonna run what I feel like today, and I'm gonna have fun." And
Yeah.
I think you do burn out. I can't imagine. So now we have kids. There's this very popular school out here, high school. It's called the high school, Newbury Park High School, and they have cranked out one of the fastest kids in the country. And I think, wow, I can't believe they're putting so much pressure on kids, and now they're performing. But we'll see that
Mm,
everyone expected all these kids to do really amazing, and I'm sure they will. But yeah, what is the longevity? You're pushing a kid to the full limit. So
mm.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just jealous. Those kids are fast.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, so like you know when you get to see these posts, and it's like a 5K time by a 14-year-old or something. And I'm like,
It's
oh my god.
bananas. So I think like if you're letting your kids do what they want to do, I think that's like the way to go. And then I know this high school girl who's super competitive and loves this the whole competitive aspect of it, and she's thriving in college. So I just
Mm.
think it depends, but yeah, it's not for everybody.
I think the main thing is to have a good community within that team,
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah. So like there's some of the local clubs around here and some of the more prominent clubs. Even now, the ones who get from what I can see, the ones who get the best results are still the ones that have the best community
Right.
around it, and they're kind of, whether it's social outside of things, whether it's just yeah having fun alongside it. Like I've got some really good physiotherapists that I speak to, and they're in the club scene
Yeah.
more, and that's really where the focus is.
Yeah, community is
Yeah.
everything. Yeah,
So
and you have support, and you feel like if you're going through something, you have people that are going to have your back. If you feel supported, I think it's easier for you to handle a lot of things. So yeah, community is everything. Yeah.
on that, tell me more about how did you get involved in the LA running scene? Tell me more about
Yeah,
that because I know again, like we could speak for hours, I imagine, on all the different facets of,
totally.
of what you do. It's great.
I
It's
love it.
crazy. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, but I like when I saw that I mean, yeah, I knew you were a
Yeah.
physiotherapist, and then I was like, oh, she's actually running, like she's a
I do
coach
a lot.
in
I have my
LA and
poor
everything. So,
husband. I do a lot. Yeah. So, the running, the LA running.
what are they called again?
Sorry,
What's the group that you've got? Is it Lift? Is that Lift?
Lift.
No,
Yeah, Lift. Yeah, Valley
Valley.
Temple Training Run Club. So
That's it.
I live in LA County. I'm about 20 minutes away from downtown. Without traffic, to add that in there. And the LA running scene really blew up. I'd say a good 5 to 8 years ago. We have a lot of brands out here throwing money, and a lot of it really goes to more the metropolitan downtown LA area. So a lot of the suburbs and the outskirts of LA County are really ignored. So after investing a lot of my time into the LA, downtown LA, Santa Monica area, I've lived in what we call the Valley. It's pretty famous, but the Valley for 30 years, my whole life. And I'm like, there's no teams out here. At the time, there's only 3 teams, and we cater to 3 million residents. And all of us will go out, travel into a different city to train. And so
Wow.
eventually, it took me long enough, but last year I thought, this is it. I can't keep investing my time into a different community that I don't live in. There's so many runners out here. I know hundreds of runners out here who run, and we all travel out. So I decided to start a running club with the hope of trying to bring more resources and a community to more people here. So, after work, instead of commuting an hour to go run, like, let's go down to our famous little park here and run and train. And another passion of mine right now is trail running. So I started also adding trail runs, and I was actually surprised that there were a lot of people who have never ran trails ever in their life. So introducing them to our local trails and nature, and having people get involved with our wildlife was pretty cool. And so yeah, that's how it kind of naturally started, and it's still pretty new, but I'm really excited to see how much it's grown and how many people are thankful for it. And yeah, I hope that it continues to motivate other people to start run clubs here. And I've always been a proponent for the more clubs, the merrier. And being friendly with other run clubs is super important to me. I don't like the whole if you run with my club, you can't run with any other club. So I hate that. So we've had a few joined run club runs here with other run clubs, and it's been really cool to see the unity between all of us, and that's kind of what I'm going for. In LA, it's not like that. So, and I don't like to bash on my LA folks. I love LA, but it's a little bit. Yeah. If you're in our crew, this is our crew. So, yeah.
Got yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. Like the closest we've got, and I've got no real experience of this, is like in London, especially. There's like London Run Crews, and they've all got different names and stuff, and they've come across it in the last 5 or 10 years, and and yeah, there's a lot of them. It's quite, I guess, it's quite tribal.
Yeah.
Is the best way to maybe
Yeah, so
describe
it's
it
a
to a certain
worldwide thing,
extent.
and it makes sense because I think when you invest money and resources into your club, and you're giving it, I think you always, and my mom always told me, you can't give things and expect anything back in return. And so I've always gone with that intention, like, I'm here, you know what, I will give you guys free whatever. You don't have to stay with me, it's okay. So It's kind of interesting now in the Valley. My run club is on Wednesdays, and there's a run club on Tuesdays, on Thursdays, and Mondays, and we all share each other's runs. And I'm like, this is beautiful. What a community we have. We have now our runners can go to all of our clubs. But yeah, in LA it's a little bit different. I've heard a few things here and there, and I think it's changing though. I think people are realizing like that's not the vibe, and that's not what people want. So if we want to help our community, we have to be open to understanding that we're here to help each other, not to tear each other down. So, yeah.
And I guess if you're a runner and you're not necessarily someone who is coach or coaching or volunteering, and you've got more options, then you don't want to be involved in the politics of what club is doing what. But if you and on your side of things, I guess if you don't want that to have the pressure of to keep this up, then you need to run 3 or 4 sessions a week of
Right.
your time.
Yeah.
It's like if you're doing Tuesday and you can go and do
Yeah.
Wednesday and
Yeah, I've
that's
always
fine,
thought
right?
if you want to be a community leader, you have to think about the community, and not make it so much about you. So yeah, and I think that's where I'm at. And maybe it just comes from where I come from. I mean, I service at a hospital. I help so many different kinds of people. I think everyone deserves all the resources, and so I've always done it with the intention. So I think I might come off like, oh, my run club is, yeah, I'm not maybe not that serious, but I'm like, no, I'm here to provide you a space. If you want to run with me, great. If you don't, that's fine too. Here, there are 3 other clubs you can run with. They're awesome. So I've always been a proponent of, look, I'm just here to have fun. I'm here
I
to have
guess
fun, guys. We're here to run together.
like you've got like such a pool of people in a short like
Yeah,
kind of amount
yeah,
of space. It's there's no reason to
exactly.
be kind of too
Yeah,
protective,
it's
I
kind of
guess, as
like,
a like people will be attracted to you for your energy, and you might get someone who's maybe
yeah,
more serious and that kind of thing, and people are
exactly.
attracted to that.
So I know it's been fun. I'm learning a lot, and I'm learning a lot about the politics and like how to be like, okay, how do we navigate this? This is bananas. So
Yeah,
yeah, always
God,
learning, and
yeah.
but I'm excited to push it a little bit and see.
Have you had support from any companies, or I wouldn't know how it works out there. Any brands
No,
or any
no,
facilities
right
even?
now. So the crazy thing about where I live is that there are a lot of tracks, but no one wants to open a track for us. It's all about money. Everything's about money. So right
Mm,
now we've had a few companies send us stuff and send us support. Fractal is a big supporter of mine, and I support them a lot. Fractal and
okay.
Tracksmiths has always been, hey, if you need help, here we are. Um, Other than that, everything's been pretty much on either the community runners donating things. A lot of it is from me. But one of the things that I wanted to make very clear is my running club has always been like, I'm never going to charge anyone for anything. If we ever use a track and we rent it, it's going to come off a grant, fundraiser, or something like that.
Mm.
We've raffled off bibs, usually from race directors saying, "Hey, I'll give you a bib, we'll raffle it off," or something like that. But no brands per se have gone on and sponsored us. Um, yeah, and I don't know if that might be something we're necessarily looking at the moment, but hopefully, maybe down the line, that would be a cool resource for us too. So, yeah.
Unused tracks over here, it just drives me crazy. And I've never been a track runner, and I've never really
Uh-huh.
trained on a track, if I'm honest. But because I live
I
in
know
quite a
you.
rural area, it's
I really
40
like where you
minutes.
live. All your videos, I'm like, where's this magical place? This is
Yeah,
so green. This is great.
yeah. Like I hear you talking about like the valley has 3 million, and it's like my valley has
Oh my
300
gosh.
people.
See, that sounds. Yeah.
It's like my village has got less than 500 definitely people.
Wow. That's.
Yeah, and the average age they're all retirement age, so I'm probably like one of the
Wow. Yeah,
youngest.
you have a magical place where you live at. So yeah, no, here we
Mm,
have there's a brand new track 3 miles away from here. Brand new at a community college where they do not have a cross country or a track team, has never been used. I have called multiple times and they said, we can't loan it to you. And I'm like, why? This is bananas. So I went on their radio and I talked about it.
Yeah.
So hopefully that'll change. Yeah.
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 You never know. This
There we go.
podcast might go
See?
wild in LA.
Thanks, Gary. It's going to go, it's going to change.
Yeah, we'll get it sorted. What does your typical like week look like as a, yeah, just let's reel them off, like physical therapist, coach. You've got, I've seen you the training that you put in as well. Although you obviously love having fun, but you work very hard at that as well. Give us the oversight.
I guess
on that.
I'm a workaholic and I don't really like 10 minutes. So yeah, I work 40 hours a week at a hospital. Your typical 7 to 4, 8 to 5. And after that, I immediately leave work and I will run. And that will be 1 to 2 hours every day. And on my lunch breaks, I will talk to my athletes. And that is an everyday thing, like Sunday to Sunday. And on weekends, sometimes I'll see private clients if they're not. It's Kaiser. It's insurance based here, so as long as I don't have the hospital insurance, I will see them. And then most of my training happens on the weekend. So yeah, I'm a pretty busy person, and I'm really happy my husband's pretty busy too, because if he wasn't, I'd be like in trouble and like, where are you? You're never home. It works for us. My mom gets a little concerned, but me and my husband don't get home until 8:30 at night, and we see each other for an hour every day. And then on the weekends we spend a lot of time.
Does he run as well?
He's training for an Ironman right now. So yeah.
Oh wow.
I'm a little, you know what, he's gonna do great. I'm really excited for him, but I was thinking about it. I'm like, oh my gosh, he has to swim 2 hours, bike for 5, and run a marathon. Okay, this is going to be bananas. So, but it's been kind of nice. This is the first time he's trained for this race. He's done sprints and halves, so he's going for it. But it's been nice because now we get to train together. So I really, really enjoy that. Yeah.
Yeah. Good.
Exactly. So yeah. So right now, my mom's like, when do you have kids? And I'm like, kids? I don't know if it's going to fit right now. Give me one more year. I'll do it. My doctor's telling me it's time. You're going to hit 35. You're going to have kids. And I'm like, oh my God, okay. It's a lot of pressure. Give me one more year. So yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely get the Ironman out of the way first. That's what I did one too. And it was like, I had the amount of time that can take up. And most of it is just researching a lighter wheel.
Which one did you run?
It's just, yeah. Over here in the UK, it was called Outlaw. So it's not, it wasn't the Ironman franchise, but it was Ironman Distance, and it's called the Outlaw in a city called Nottingham. So it was, yeah. Again, I'd come in from a run background and thought, back in those days, I was just trying to run longer. I was doing ultramarathons. Social media wasn't a thing, but I was just like, well, what do I do next? And instead of buying like Trail Running magazine or Runner's World, I bought a triathlete magazine for whatever reason, and I was flicking through, didn't own a bike or anything, and then like I can't remember why I bought it, but on the back of that, I signed up for an Ironman, thinking, well, that's the next challenge. Yeah, it's pretty rough, and I can't even now. I think I've blocked out the swim training because I could swim, but like not swim properly. So yeah, just like open water. And I did a lake triathlon over here, which was like half distance, and I remember doing the lake swim, but there was massive waves in the lake. And if anything, it was my fastest ever swim somehow because of the waves. I think getting pushed along. Came out, and then I hadn't looked at the map for the run. I had for the bike. Yeah. Like up very hilly bike ride. So I was really worried about it. Got through that and thought, right, I'm going to the run, which is what I'm good at. I'll be okay. But I didn't even know this, and this is how naive I was. It went up the highest mountain in England, which is Scafell Pike. I was just cramping. I was lying on the floor. I didn't know anything about nutrition. I'd only been running about 3 years, and yeah, it's just the whole experience was still traumatized me. I think, and like on the bike, I had no gloves, and it was raining that
Oh
hard. I
my
couldn't
god.
see anything, and
Well, you did it. Congrats. Oh
so
my
yeah,
god.
I did that. I did the Ironman, and then I'd literally never went near it ever again since.
Oh my god. But you do ultras, and ultras are not easy. So, you know.
Mm. Well, I always say it's like a lot of people just fall into ultras because, yeah, the commitment to keep getting faster in the marathon
It's really hard.
is hard. Yeah, so it's sometimes it's easy
I
to go to
know,
ultra marathons
it's
and just
definitely my
stay
vibe.
slow.
I have to do a road. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do one road so I can BQ. But I really enjoy being out in the trails, and I can't imagine. I mean, our trails out here in Los Angeles are completely different, I'm sure, than the stuff that. I mean, you run beautiful, gorgeous, like in forests. I run, pretty much desert, but
Mm.
it's really, really, really awesome, and I really enjoy my time out there. So, yeah, cheers to.
What kind
Mm-hmm.
of trail races? What kind of trail races do you have over there? Do you have to travel
Yeah,
far
pretty
for them, or?
much. At least an hour for a an ultra. My first
Mm.
ultra I did in Big Bear, which was about 2.5 hours. And again, I was raised in LA, so we didn't really do a lot of things. So it was the first time I've ever ran in a forest. So it was really magical for me. I'm like, oh my God, I'm running in a forest. There's all these trees.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So it was really hard, but it was so magical. I really enjoyed it. So I really love that ultras kind of let me explore different worlds, really, for me. And yeah, so out here we have the Santa Monica Mountains. So I get to run those, but it's not like it's really you're just
Mm.
on you're running on bare mountains. So it's still fun, beautiful. We get to see a lot of ocean and bushes. So, but it's great. It's still better than out being on the road
Mm.
running with cars.
Yeah. Well, you get the benefit of the weather,
Yes,
I
that's the
guess. It's
one thing. See,
quite
I'm a solar
consistent.
panel. I
Yeah.
can run in heat all day. You take me out in 60-degree weather, Fahrenheit, and I'm wearing a sweater, and everyone's like, "What's wrong with you?" And I'm like, "It's freezing. I need 80-degree weather here. It's crazy." Yeah.
So when you come over and do London, you're gonna have like
Oh my gosh,
six
you should have
layers on,
seen
woolly
me. You should have
hats
seen me in
and
Boston. They're
gloves
like,
and
"This
all.
is perfect running weather," and I'm like, 49 degrees. This is going to be bad. I need 60. I'm shivering. After I was done running, I looked purple. My friend's like, "What's wrong with you?" And I'm like, I mean, first of all, finishing. I mean, it's terrible. It's hard. Finishing any marathon is hard. But yeah, I'm not good with cold weather. No, no.
What have you got coming up? What because
Mhm.
you've just done Boston. Remind us. Well, remind me. I guess everyone else might not know. But what time did you run at Boston? Were you happy with
So I'll
Boston?
be
And
honest. I
what have you
know
got
I
coming up?
was running. I've been training, and really, my goal was a 310 to 315 was really where I was aiming for. I ended up running a 335.
Mm.
And I think honestly it was because I really think it was COVID. I felt so good going into this. I was
Yeah.
hitting. I mean, even my long runs was probably the best shape I've been in a long time for road racing. Um, and I remember going into mile 16, and I was like, wow, I'm running so fast. I probably need to slow down. And I looked at my watch, and I'm like, fuck, I'm running 8:20. This is bad. And I'm supposed to be running 7:30, 7:20, 7:25.
Uh,
So, and then I remember I'm like, should I call my coach? I was panicking. I went down a mental spiral, and I was like, I'm just gonna keep going, keep going. And I kept going, and I'm like, oh yeah, there's nothing in the tank here for me. I'm just gonna cry a little bit while I run and keep keep going and have fun. And I saw again the crowds were there. So I started walking once, and some guy was like, "Come on, young lady, don't walk. This is the Boston Marathon." And I'm like, "Oh my god, okay." So if I wasn't for the crowd, I probably would have ran a lot slower. But 335, I think I'll take it for not feeling so great. And yeah.
yeah. I mean, I've 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 not had that experience, but I have ran. I've only ran what 5 road marathons, and one of those was in
Ooh,
Barcelona,
that sounds
and
amazing.
which was lovely and everything. And then I remember the next one. I think it was the next one. Was I was in better shape, a bit like you've explained, but there was just nothing there at all. And then the full following week I was full of full of virus essentially. So I think if you've gone into that and you're obviously tapering
Yeah.
and resting, and then
Yeah.
COVID's there, right? And you haven't, but you're not training hard, so you haven't just tipped over the edge, and then in the race, there's nothing worse than that feeling
Yeah,
than having the
totally.
batteries taken out, and there's no
Exactly. And I think I
explanation.
felt like
Yeah,
I kind of, I don't know what it is. It's like a little bit of shame. You're like, oh my God, I've been like, this is what I was going for. Everyone's like, what the hell?
yeah.
Yeah,
You've been shouting about how
exactly.
great
You're like, I feel
training's
like
been,
I
and
feel a little silly right now. I'm gonna go hide. So when we got the
so did a little part of you were like slightly, quietly
yeah, I
kind
was
of
like, oh
pleased
my
that you were
gosh.
sick afterwards, and you could legitimately say,
Exactly,
"Look, waving
exactly.
it
That's
around
exactly what
everyone."
happened. I was like, no, freaking, no wonder I have COVID. This is why. So that was it. I mean, it still doesn't take this thing away, but I have another marathon in
Mm.
July. So my coach is like, this is it, girl. You got it. You got it. So I have a race in July, and I have an ultra in October. I'm planning to run another ultra in August, and that's just for fun. I want to run. It's called the Backbone Trail. It's 69 miles. It goes from pretty much one end of LA County to the other end, shore to shore. And I wanted to do that for my birthday, but my birthday's coming up, so I'm just going to do it in August, and I'm just going to do it for fun and see how that goes. So yeah.
When you're like the trails and everything where you are, it's like forgive the naivety of this question. Is it safe to just go out and run the trails wherever you are and everything? Because like even over here, there's areas that
Yeah.
are questionable, and the the question does come up more and more. Really, that some places people don't
No,
feel safe to run.
totally.
Do
Not a
you
naive
feel
question at
safe?
all. I talk about this a lot. I've been assaulted 2 or 3 times here in the streets, definitely in the streets. And and it's been really
Wow.
scary. That's probably one of the other reasons I started the run club was it started off as a little selfish reason. I'm like, I
Mm,
can't keep running by myself. A lot of bad things have happened. And so, I
yeah.
run with pepper spray, I run with the taser, I run with one earphone. Even in the summer when it's burning hot, like I have to think like, should I run in my sports bra? Because I don't want people to think that I'm
Yeah.
trying to show them something. So, and that's another reason why I would drive all the way, 30 minutes to Santa Monica and run at the beach because everyone's running in a sports bra. And if they're running in a sports bra, that can happen to me. And the trails, for whatever reason, I
Yeah.
remember how I said I was surprised that a lot of people don't go to the trails and run. I actually feel a lot safer in the trails because
Mm,
there aren't a lot of people out there, which is spooky, but out of the hundreds of things that have happened to runners out in the suburban areas, in the trails it's happened once or twice, so it still happens. We just had a case where a woman was sexually assaulted in one of the trail parking lots up here about 6 months ago. But yeah, no, I actually feel safer out in the trails, I think, than
in the pack
than
or in the
on the
trails.
roads for sure. So yeah, I
How crazy is that you have to think about that, just that list of items for a start, and then previous
it's
experiences, and then
it's stressful because when
it's
you
just
go out with the
insane.
intention of I'm gonna do this workout, I still get panicky, like if and of course I don't want to. The last thing you want to do is judge a man, right? You see a man down the road, but the first thing you're thinking is like,
Yeah.
okay, well, what is he wearing? If he does something, what's my exit route? Okay, it's getting dark. Okay, should I go
Mm.
this way? Oh, there's someone at the corner. Okay, am I gonna keep going straight? I'm gonna go left. And so there's this added like pressure of the things you have to think about. So I can't imagine the cortisol levels. I'm sure they go up. We're all stressed out about it. So it doesn't make training fun in that sense. So yeah, it's hard because now I have to, I used to bribe my husband like, can you go on the bike with me? And we can go get in and out afterwards. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hamburger. So yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. Like for someone like for me who can just run out the back door and run onto the open trails, it's yeah. I do like asking these kind of questions, especially like even friends that live in cities in this country and different experiences, and we have like what would you call it, initiative over here. It's called I'm pretty sure it's called She Runs. So it might be She Runs Trails
Mm-hmm.
or She Runs Races or something. And it's like an initiative to um, basically to help women
That's
participate
great.
more in sport, in running especially, and provisions for them
That's
in
awesome.
races and all this kind of thing. And I've just been learning lots from the information that they put out, and just like as a woman training, as a woman entering a race, as a woman running in the race, just different barriers that, like, if I'm honest, I
Yeah.
haven't had. So
Yeah.
as a man, or living in a rural area and that kind of thing, there's other things that have affected me, but it's been really good. Yeah,
Yeah,
just
I
hearing different points
remember
of view as
once I
well.
went running with my husband. He was on a bike, and he had his headphones, and I don't wear headphones when I go running. But we were at a stoplight, and I
Mm,
remember some guys were like whistling, and I'm like, oh my god, they have the audacity to whistle, and my husband's right here. This is crazy. So, and like things like that, you would think like it's 2023. I get it. Like, I get that people like maybe like to look, but I'm like, some people just feel really entitled to say what they want to say, and don't really understand how scary that might be on the other side, for a woman. You know, imagine being by yourself and someone doing that. It's really 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 uncomfortable, but I think it's nice that there are more initiatives and more people are talking about it. I think, Runner's World has done such a good job with writing articles. Adidas just came out with an article, and really exposing that. I don't know what the
mm,
solution is, to be honest. I don't know if there is a solution. I think the only way to really handle those things is just educating and talking about it. And like I tell my friends, I'm like, look, it's as simple as if you see one of your friends doing something that probably is crossing the line, is just saying, hey, that's not cool. Don't do that, instead of just ignoring it. So the work continues for sure.
mm. Yeah, definitely. I think, yeah, if we could all have your energy, that might help as well. Because I'd definitely be
I would be like,
scared to
what
give you a wolf
the heck?
whistle.
And I will follow words. And my husband's like, you got to be careful. And that's what happened, which one of the times when I did get harassed was there was a guy on a skateboard and he said something and I was like, what the la, la, la. And he followed me for a mile and he's like, you shouldn't have said anything. But I was like, well, if I don't say
Wow.
anything, something can happen. And if I say something, something can happen. So maybe I'll just say something. But yeah, I have a spicy attitude. So you would think that would help, but sometimes it doesn't deter people. Some people are just going to do what they want to do. And it doesn't matter. So but it does
Mm,
help if you are really loud and they'll leave you alone. So what I'll do now is I'll run with a speaker. It's a portable speaker, Bluetooth speaker. And so I'll put loud music. So whenever
yeah.
I'm running on the trails myself, people can hear me coming. And I'm really loud and I'll put, like really bad word rap music. Rap
What?
music, but
What
just like
music?
thug
Like,
it out.
yeah, okay, yeah.
So, uh,
You should go the other way and just put like
yeah, maybe
classical
I
music on
should.
or something, and
Yeah,
this.
no. So yeah, that's kind of So
When it comes to your social media, like, I really enjoy it, and like I had like I'll be honest, before November last year, I'd been posting every day, doing
so
what you've
funny.
seen
Oh
what I
my
do,
gosh,
no
love it.
different. And some people might think it's funny, yeah, and some
Oh
people
my gosh,
don't, but
hilarious.
that's just the nature of it. And like, I just post what I think is funny, or what I think is hopefully some useful advice. But back in November, or the end of November, a couple of the videos started to catch fire, and obviously some of them went viral, and I had like an influx of followers from the US, and like having some conversations, and I went on a US podcast with a lady, Nikki, and like it was just really good to have almost like fresh insights, like seeing
Yeah.
your running and your community, and Nikki's, and like what, because like part of my job is to be involved in social media. Although I'm a running coach, I use it to
Of
leverage for
course.
my online coaching business, I guess. um, that kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
and lots of good has come
Yeah.
out of it. I enjoy social media, so I'm always interested, because obviously, there's a lot of conversation over here, especially about
Yes.
how bad it is, and yeah, and why we should be spending less time on it, and to a certain extent I agree. But as a creator, I guess I'm always this is the mindset I have is like I'm self-employed. I'm a running coach. I
Right.
control
No,
my own
totally.
kind of destiny. Is this kind of thing, and I that's what I look at as with my social media. If I don't want to see certain things, then I can
Right.
change
Yeah.
my own algorithm and not see it. Yeah. So when I have a new influx of like the US followers and it's people like yourself, that's great. So do you have a similar outlook to your social media? Because I guess you haven't got the same. You're not looking to leverage it
Yeah.
in any way,
I
really. I
was
guess.
definitely a social media hater. I hated it when I first got on there. And I think it was because, I don't
Mm,
know, maybe it was because I felt so much pressure, like, oh, you have to do all these things. And I think as I grew, I kind of used
mm,
it on my end to help motivate people, encourage people, and not really be about performance and numbers. And that's kind of the people that gravitate towards me, I think, and the people that I've generally communicated with. It's not the super competitive people. It's the everyday person who's looking to want to get out there and feel motivated and feel a part of something and feel a part of the community and feel like they belong. I feel like when you come into the LA running scene now, it's all about how fast are you? And what brand is sponsoring you or what group is going to
mm.
sponsor you. And I'm against the grain in a lot of things like that. And so for me, it's been good because I go, okay, it's bad because a lot of people put out bad things. And there are a lot of people like yourself. I love your stuff. And I'm like, this is great. This is a breath of fresh air. He's making fun of things. And I'm like, this is exactly what we need because it shouldn't be serious when at the end of the day, it's about running and how much we love running. Yeah.
It's running, yeah. It's so crazy when people get so annoyed or get their
Oh
back
my
up
God,
so
I
much about
love your
maybe a
videos.
video
I'm
I've
like,
done. I'm like, I'm talking
I'm
about
gonna
like
share every
running or
video you
something.
post, and this is the reason why I share it because it is so true. I'm like, it is about running. We should enjoy it. This is fun. Yeah,
yeah, it's like I'm
exactly.
not talking about politics or any
Exactly.
of
And
that.
so
It's just
people like
like
you are the reason
yeah.
why they're still good in social media. I think it's good to keep people grounded, and maybe have a few people have a different perspective of what's important because not everything that, the top runner does is what running is. And a lot of it for the majority of people who do run, it's the
Mm,
everyday normal person who does it because they love it, does it to escape, does it for therapy, does it to be healthy, does it for whatever reason. And I think I found that niche of like, I know where I stand. I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing it for and why I'm doing what I'm doing. Um, so I've really tried to use my platform for something good and not for personal gain. It's not like I make money off of anything that I've ever done. And now I don't find stress, and I just really post genuinely what I do. There's no lies
mm,
behind any of it. So um, I'm just really, like I said, I just kind of share my passion for running, and I'm lucky that I still get to do it. And I think that's where it comes from at the end of the day is I work with people who sometimes don't can't do anything. And I think I have that perspective of like,
mm,
I just want to keep doing something that I love for as long as I can. We're so lucky that we get to do what we do. There are hundreds of people who would switch places with us in a second, and I don't take that for granted. And I think that's maybe something that a lot of people don't realize. Like, hey, you just got out and ran an hour in the
mm.
mountains, man. There's someone who can't get out of their bed right now. Good job. You did something good today. So, yeah, I think
Yeah.
I don't think social media is bad. I think it can be used for bad, but I think as long as there's you do it for the right reasons, I think it can be such a cool thing to bring people together. And I came across your IG page and it's amazing. So uh, and that's the other thing that I love about social media is I've met
Yeah.
so many people that I would have never, ever met in my life. And yeah, and I've met friends, a lot of my
Yeah,
friends that I
same.
have now, which is kind of, it sounds crazy to say, but some of my closest friends I've met through social media, and we've met up with running, and here we are later. And I'm like, wow, if it wasn't for Instagram, I would have never met you. And all the cool opportunities that I've had, even working with the coaching team that I work with now, I would have never heard about them if it wasn't for social media. Um, so yeah, I think it's a cool avenue, especially for if you're using it for the right reasons. It's really really beautiful, really. So, cheers to you, Gary. You're doing awesome. I love what you're doing.
I think it's in. Yeah, well, I'm not. That's the only thing. They're the only ones I know how. I only know about running. I
Yeah,
know what I
that's
find
awesome.
funny,
I love
so
it.
that's all I can post. Yeah. Uh, When I always think I've done a couple of talks on this in the past, and I realized at one point where like you'll be in the same boat. I think where it's almost like a privilege, and it was a luxury that we were
Yeah,
running before social media was a thing. So like when I had to look up races, it was on the internet, but I'd be in these weird, dodgy forums trying to look up for ultra marathons and turn up into a
yeah,
field with a
yeah.
load of old men kind of thing. And there was no Facebook was a thing, but it wasn't what it was. As in, yeah, you wouldn't post the
Nobody
fact that I'd been to
knew.
a race or anything. Like nobody knew that I was going to races really, apart from the fact that I had a race T-shirt and I turned up
Yeah,
to my
exactly.
mate's Sunday league football kind of thing. So that's a luxury, I think, because now imagine if you're, like a lot of people come into running in their 30s maybe when they've like, yeah, they decide they want to get fit, but then they're just hit with a barrage of perfect running on Instagram and whatever social media platform and Strava. Imagine I can't if I had
I know
Strava
it's
and
kind of sad
Instagram
if
when I
you don't.
started. I'd, it'd be a different. Like I love it, but I think I've learned how to use it. Whereas, yeah, a lot of people, I imagine it's just thrown upon them, and I had to learn through textbooks and yeah, realize that
Exactly.
and like
Magazines.
magazines and just and just all kinds of stuff, and then maybe the odd YouTube video, but even that wasn't
And I know it
very
exists
good.
because, and I know you've
So
gotten messages. I've
yeah, I
gotten
just think
messages of people. You get me like, hey, I just want to know why I've been running for, 3 or 4 months and I'm not getting any faster like other people are. And I'm just like, it's not about, and I think that's what it is. It's like,
yeah,
it's not about anybody else except yourself. It's okay. And I think that's coming from this sense of pressure. Hey, I'm running. I'm not getting faster like everybody else. What can I do? And I'm like, you know, and I think if it wasn't for
yeah,
social media and people posting, if you didn't post it on Strava, it's not real, this whole thing, and posting your stats all the time. And for a while I didn't post my stats because I felt like I can't do that because I'm playing into this game. And recently I've done it more for being more transparent about like, this is my training, guys. Here, I'm putting in the numbers. But for a while I
yeah,
didn't do it
same.
because I felt like I didn't want people who follow me to see me as like, oh, look at her, she's running these splits, she's so fast. Like, I'm not a runner, I don't run that fast, and I don't really believe in that. So yeah, it's a hard thing to balance out, I think. But yeah, I'm so lucky. I love it. I love that back in the day I ran without a watch. I had like a Timex watch. It didn't give me a pace.
Yeah,
You would just start it and finish it, and you're like, oh, I just ran 5 miles in like, I remember running in high school. I ran 5 miles in like 45 minutes or something. I had no idea what that meant. I was like, oh, 45 minutes. Okay, maybe next time I'll try to run it in 43 minutes. I don't know. My coach didn't, no one knew what you were doing.
yeah.
So, yeah, the good old days.
Like even like
There wasn't even a thing.
weekly mileage and all that wasn't a thing. Like you said, I've told this story before, but like I
Mm-hmm.
used to, because I came to running a little bit later. I ran a bit in high school and then left it and then played football, soccer, yeah, and then came back to it like like mid 20s, I guess. But yeah, it was because I'd moved to a house full of other professionals that I didn't know, that couldn't afford the gym.
Nice.
Yeah, couldn't. So I just started running, but I still remember I would put my football trainers on, look at the clock at the bottom of the stairs of this shared house, go out running along.
Wow.
Go out running along a canal, like yeah, sit on a bench because I'd run out of steam, run back, and then look at the clock and see what the time
Yeah.
was, and that would be right. I'll try and beat that next time, kind of thing. That that was it. And for 2 years, I was just running. I
Yeah,
thought
just
I was
running
keeping
because,
fit, but I was
yeah.
just running, kind of thing. And I was running further. I didn't enter any races and didn't have any like comparison can be good, comparison can be bad, but I didn't have anything to compare myself other than the fact that I ran
Exactly. The
slower the
good
day
old days.
before or
Maybe we
quicker the
should
day
do
before.
a social experiment one
Yeah.
day and have no one run with watches and just, that would be fun. That would be good.
Yeah. Well, it would make
Yeah,
my
that
job
too.
harder.
Oh my
But
God, you've been coaching for
yeah.
a while. You know, I'm a little bit more newer. I'm a lot newer to coaching compared to you. So that's been fun too. I really that's been cool. Yeah,
Yeah. It's good. It's like
you do.
yeah, just again,
Yeah.
you learn so much. Like even in a short space of time, I like. Yeah, I compare it to. This is a bit of an odd analogy, but I used to play a bit of like poker with cards, and you can the amount of people that I have through coaching. It's like I'm
Mm-hmm.
learning each time. It's like another hand of cards kind of thing. I was playing for fun kind of thing, but it's like learning every single time. I take one person through a marathon or an
It's
ultra
really
marathon.
awesome. Love it.
It's yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Um, so Jess, that's you've been amazing. I've had an hour of your time. What give me an idea of where you're gonna hopefully take your running community and your own running in the next like
Well,
6
I
months to a
really
year
hope that
from
by 6 months we have a track so we can do some cool community track workouts with the people out here
yeah.
in the valley,
Get
and
Jess a
really just
track.
kind of continue running and kind of push myself into the ultra marathon running world. I think it's kind of the next goal for me, and maybe run a 50-miler. That's the next goal. So, but really, the community is just share what we love to do, which is running, with more and more people, and try to get people out there to take advantage of these SoCal rays and run with their community members. And yeah, and I'll just continue doing what I do, which is run, help people, coach, and and enjoy the 80 degree weather out here, and hopefully connect with more people. So yeah, I really want to say thank you, Gary. I really appreciate it. I was so excited when you reached out to me, and I was like, oh my God, Gary wants to talk to me. This is great. So definitely talking to MVP out here, and really appreciate it. It was really fun. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. And what is
That
the
is, yep. I
best
am
way
on
to find
Instagram,
you?
Tempo
Instagram,
with
is it?
Jess, and come out there and say hi to me on there. Yeah, and
Tempo
yeah,
with Jess.
check me out there.